First of all, I'd like to apologize for my hyponasal voice since I'm having a sore throat. The topic that I'm going to talk about today is the grit mantra. So, let me begin by asking you a very simple question. How many of you have ever felt stuck in your life? Maybe it felt like you were running on a treadmill, moving but going nowhere. Or perhaps it felt like the universe was playing a cruel joke and you were the punchline. A quick raise of hands, maybe? Well, I see a lot of hands, and to no surprise, because feeling stuck is a very common part of human experience, of human existence. But here's the twist. What if I told you that being stuck is not a roadblock, but a redirection? Now, let me clarify that by taking you on a short journey, my journey. Growing up, I was this quintessential, shy, introverted kid, the type you'd overlook in a crowded room. My books were my best friends, the library, my sanctuary. My solitude was not by choice, but it was because I lived in an imaginary world as I felt I didn't belong to the real one. At school, I was this infamous geek who didn't have many friends. At home, I was this mature kid, the emotional caretaker of a family that was navigating through the mental health struggles because my grandmother, who we deeply loved, was suffering from bipolar affective disorder. And there was constant chaos and fights in the family. It felt like I was wearing an invisible cape of responsibilities that no one else saw except myself. And during that time, I buried my feelings, my emotions, and my needs so deep that I forgot that they even existed. Do you know that over 36% of people worldwide experience loneliness even when they are in a crowd? And loneliness isn't just a mental state. It also affects the physical health. It is as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes in a day. Well, tough times of childhood, as I remember. Years went by, and then came college. Now I thought this is my chance. A clean slate. New faces, new opportunities, leaving behind past, right? Well, I was wrong. As I stepped into St. Xavier's College, thinking this is the dream place for all the toppers, and I could finally find a place where I could belong, finally meet people like me, find my kind of normalcy. These people there weren't just toppers. They were toppers who could sing, dance, lead debates, and make friends while looking effortlessly cool. And there I was, an introvert, sitting in a corner, struggling to even speak, wondering if disappearing into the wallpaper would be a viable life strategy. My confidence, rock bottom. My self-esteem, very demure, almost non-existent. It felt like I was stuck in that place, stuck in that moment, and I wanted to give up and run away from everything and everyone. And then it happened, the moment that changed everything. My senior asked me to give a presentation the next day for a students' club. My reaction, immediate panic and thousands of excuses in my head. I even considered feigning an illness, but they wouldn't buy it. So with no choice left, I went back home crying and panicking as if I'd been sentenced to public humiliation the next day. After hours of crying, something inside me snapped, and I thought to myself, since I've got no way out and I have to get it done anyways, let's just get over with it quickly. So then I started preparing for the presentation, and trust me, I rehearsed it over 1,000 times that night. The next day, I nailed it. I nailed the presentation. The applause Oh my God, it was glorious. And that left me stunned. Wait, was that the moment I'd been fearing for my entire life that I'd just accomplished? And that was when I realized something so profound. I wasn't stuck. I was never. I was just holding myself back. And that was the very first realization of my life. The G in the grit mantra. Get uncomfortable. Growth doesn't live in your comfort zone. Growth happens in the awkward, messy, and scary moments of life. It's all about risking and trying. Now, let's talk about the stories that we all tell ourselves. For years, mine had been something like, you're never cool enough to fit in. You'll never be appreciated or loved. You're not good enough. You're just the socially awkward, shy, nerd kid, so just stick to what you know, that is books, and you cannot do anything else in life. But here's the thing. Stories aren't facts. Stories are narratives that we have internalized. And the moment I stood there and spoke up was the moment I realized that my story needed a serious rewrite. Well, it's very difficult to remember these childhood memories because it really pains my heart. But that moment was the time when I first questioned myself that why is it always me asking that what is the problem that I have? Why am I not able to fit into the normal kind of people? But then I transformed that question into maybe, what if I'm not meant to fit in? What if I'm meant to stand out? And that is the R in the grit mantra. Reframe the narrative. Instead of questioning why me all the time, ask yourself what next? What can be done to improve my situation? Now, let me be very clear about this. That presentation didn't magically transform me or my confidence overnight like Cinderella. I didn't walk out of that room and instantly felt like Beyoncé. But what I did do was start small. I started joining students' clubs, participating in ECAs, exploring my interests, awkwardly tried to introduce myself to the classmates, forced myself to speak up in group discussions, and tried to make new friends. Some conversations were so cringeworthy that I wanted to bury my head in a pillow afterwards. But every time I stepped up, I became better than the last time. And that is what progress looks like. It is never linear or perfect. Progress is messy. But the thing about it is persistence. It's about showing up and never giving up. And that is the I in the grit mantra. Invest in progress, not perfection. The first step doesn't need to be flawless. It just needs to be taken. And here is the final piece. Ownership. For most parts of my life, I waited for someone who would notice me, validate me, make me feel like I belong somewhere, and give me the permission to be myself. But I realized that no one is handing out invitations to your life. So I stopped waiting for that savior. I stopped blaming and complaining about myself, my nature, my introversion, my circumstances, and owning my story, embracing all my strengths and vulnerabilities and working towards it. And that is the final T in the grit mantra, taking ownership. Because you are not the passenger in life. You are supposed to be the driver of your own life. And that means you'll have to deal with the traffic, the roadblocks, the breakdowns, and occasionally the wrong turns. But that's what makes the journey adventurous, memorable, and beautiful. So anyone out there who feels stuck in your life, just remember, that it doesn't matter where you start. It's just about your willingness to take that one step forward. And if you feel confused or if you forget, just remember the GRIT mantra. G-R-I-T. Get uncomfortable, rewrite the narrative, invest in progress, not perfection, and take ownership. Because life isn't about finding yourself. It is about creating yourself, the beautiful, imperfect masterpiece that you can be. And today, I stand here because I decided to stop waiting for life to hand me out the script that I wanted. I picked up the pen and decided to write my own story. And that was not because I was fearless or courageous. It was because I decided to act despite the fear. And guess what? You can too. Your story isn't written in permanent ink. It is a draft, a beautiful, messy, chaotic draft. And the best part, you can edit it anytime you like. So, let me leave you with this thought. The next time you feel stuck in your life, just ask yourself, am I really stuck or am I waiting for the permission to turn on to the next page? And remember my words. My love, you don't need any permission. You have that pen right in your hand. Just go and write the story that you deserve, your beautiful story. Thank you.